Hello everyone, my name is Abhiyan. I've recently been selected for Barc OCES exam. I was selected through the online test. My grade rank was 543, and I have completed my degree in chemical engineering in the year of 2023 from JNT Technological University, and I've done my intermediate and schooling in Warangal. My major project and minor project major project was in IIT Hyderabad. It was a research-based project on recovery of valuable metals from zinc and lead tailing, and my internship in ITC Bhadrachalam. And there I did a project as well on calculation of alkali losses in the HRC department. My interview date was on 15th. So I reached Bharat at 14th, at 2 o'clock or something. And then I went to the new bachelor's house hostel. There I was allotted a room with three other people. And then I stayed the night there. And in the morning at 8 o'clock, there was reporting time. Even though it was 8:30 reporting time, but people were gathered around almost around 8 o'clock. And then document verification started. I I already arranged all my documents in order, so I was like the first one who got all the document verifications done. And there is a provision that if you forget any document, like one two document, they will provide you with Xerox, but otherwise you'll have to get it from outside. And mm, then as soon as my documentation got over, I was given a slip in which that was going to interview me. Their number was written, my pilot number was one, and mine was the first interview. Then I had to take the slip and go to biometric verification. I had to do the biometric verification where they took my thumbprint, and then there was a waiting hall where we waited for around uh, half an hour, I think. My document verification was over by 9:30, and then at 10:30 the interview had started. So yes, my overall interview went on upon till 1 hour. It took 1 hour, the total interview time, and they actually I had already given an interview there of technical officer C, so they had recognized me from that time, and there was the chairperson and one more professor was the same was from the same panel, so they recognized me, and then they asked me about what all questions they had asked me in technical officer round. I told them some heat transfer, these questions were asked. So, and then I told mass transfer, and then they said, okay, let's continue from there. And then they asked me questions from heat. They had told me to write the subjects uh, which were my in my preferences. So I wrote heat transfer, mass transfer, then fluid mechanics, and then thermodynamics. Then in heat transfer, basically we asked all about the heat exchangers and how are they were in total six panelists. There were four male and two females uh, uh, that were sitting in the panel, and there was uh, there was one chairperson, and rest of them were associates. So first, the chairman started asking me the questions, and then slowly everyone started counter questioning me uh, about the questions that had been asked. After I greeted the panel, they had asked me about where I was staying and where I had come from. Then they asked me, then they recognized me from a previous interview, which was of technical officer C. And then they asked me about my college placement as well, and asked me about how many people got placed and everything. Then they asked me what were the questions that were asked for technical officer, and then I told the questions that were asked. And then from thereafter, they continued asking the questions from that point. As you can see, I was basically they were asking me to they asked me to write my four subjects, which were heat transfer, mass transfer, and fluid mechanics and thermodynamics. They started with heat transfer. They told me to draw the shell and tube heat exchanger of 1 2 parts. Then they told me to name the components and draw the fluid flow. Then they asked me what are the advantages of 1 and 2 over 1 1. What is the basic difference? And they were not asking me the mechanical part of it, but they were asking the process part of it, like how will the process get enhanced. Later, they asked me how can we increase heat transfer coefficients? How will we calculate the pressure drop? They told me to write the equations of pressure drop. So I wrote them, I wrote the equation, and then there were a lot of cross questions in the pressure drop equation, like what will be the friction fact, which term is accounting for friction, and how can we increase the heat transfer coefficient, and how basically the advantages of it. And they had asked me like how will you calculate heat transfer coefficient? What is the equation that will be used to calculate heat transfer coefficient? uh, then after a lot of cross questions, they finally moved on to mass transfer, in which they asked me to, they showed me a slip where a diagram of a tray was given in the distillation column. They asked me what is the component, and there were some compositions written there. Uh, they asked me to calculate how can you calculate the temperature based on the composition. So I answered that, and they asked will the height of the wear matter. I told them some answer, then they were not satisfied with it. They started asking what will happen if you increase or decrease the wear height. Then I somehow answered that, and then told some other person to ask questions. And he asked me how till where does the distillation end? Like what is the end point of distillation? So I try to answer it with the TXY diagram, and then there were a lot cross questioning in that also. Then they shifted to FM. Another panel member shifted asked questions from fluid mechanics. He told me to draw the graph of, he drew a pipe of length 10 meters and flow rate 100 LPM. He told me how can we calculate velocity, what is the velocity versus x graph, and what is the pressure versus distance graph. And then um, um, now they went back to the heat transfer question where I had drawn a selective heat exchanger. Then they told me uh, how will this be incorporated into that answer? Like what will be the pressure drop in a heat exchanger, and how will you calculate it all? But they were trying to mix fluid mechanics with heat transfer, and uh, they were uh, interlinking the subject. And then there was a lot of cross questioning. Then at the end, they asked me from thermodynamics. They asked me the third person asked me what is refrigeration, and he asked me why do we use two compression cycles instead of one. This was the total interview, and it went on for about 1 hour. So overall, my experience at Barc was good because I had sorted out my documents, and I had all my documents and all the uh, all the required forms, everything. It was very smooth. I think it is a very smooth process if you have everything. Otherwise, there will be a lot of difficulty. So it is important to sort your documents in the way that they have given and carry everything, including passport size photo and blue as well with you. Otherwise, it is very coordinated, and the panel members also always try to help you in giving your answers. They are not, um, uh, they don't like. they don't want to be rude, but they want you to think and think. They will help you. They will give you hints. So there's no need to panic. It is also it is important to give mock interviews as well, because if you don't give mock interviews, we think that we know everything, but there are a lot of cross questions that you never think before. So I recommend to take mock interviews as well before going to the BARC actual interview. But otherwise, everything will be smooth. But you need to keep your calm and uh, try to think as much as possible, and think about the also whenever you're studying, think how what are the advantages, and like how can you compare things. So that will help a lot, because that's how they want you to be. That's what they want you to know, that what do you can you actually apply this in real life. Uh, I wish you all the best for your interview. Uh, it will be a great experience.